So the latest inflation figures are out, and it seems as if Canada-wide inflation seems to be cooling a bit. Of course, on this channel, we are a Toronto and GTA real estate channel. So we're gonna primarily be breaking down these inflation figures through a real estate lens. Primarily, once again, a Toronto and GTA real estate lens. And as a result, the primary question here is, how is this going to impact the Bank of Canada and their interest rate announcements coming up towards the end of 2023, and how will this further impact the average Toronto home buyer and the average Toronto home seller? Is it now or never for Toronto home buyers? And if you're a seller out there and you're potentially looking to sell your home across the GTA, should you be waiting? Is it worth for you to wait? So we're gonna cover all that and much more in today's video. Hello everyone, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate and Remax Realtron Realty Inc. As always, back with another video for you guys here today. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Sam, a Toronto and GTA real estate agent who actively works across the GTA and Toronto areas. On this channel, we like to discuss all things having to do with the Toronto and GTA real estate market, buyer advice, seller advice, market trends, market reports, condo reviews, area analysis, or all the Toronto and GTA real estate content you can think of, we do on this channel. So if you find any of this content informative, feel free to subscribe, comment, rate, and review, or you can find my contact information in the description box and also on the screen as well. So let's get started. The latest CPI is out, and according to the headline number, we see an inflation rate of 3.1%, down by the headline figure of September, where the increase in inflation was 3.7%. So on a month-over-month basis, we've dropped from 3.7% increase to now a 3.1% increase. This was on target with what was expected, and September actually beat expectations. Now, as always, when we're assessing these numbers on this channel, or as I do in my WhatsApp group chat. By the way, I do have a WhatsApp group chat. It's an exclusive newsletter where you get to join and only I know who's part of it. It's 100% anonymous. And I cover all these market reports, market stats in preparation for these videos. But as I'm going to cover on this video, as I covered in my WhatsApp newsletter, anytime the CPI comes out, one of my favorite things to take a look at is the chart having to do with what is mainly contributing to the increase in inflation, or keeping inflation high, and what is contributing to the acceleration of the inflation. So what factors, what services, what goods are actually coming down and as a result helping inflation cool? You can think of this in the terms that Stats Canada puts: the main upward contributors to the rate of inflation and the main downward contributors to the rate of inflation. And here I've put this table, this chart on the screen. And as we can see, using this, we can see and attribute why inflation has cooled. And clearly from this chart, we see gasoline is a major part of why inflation has cooled, down 7.8%. Furthermore, telephone services, down 14%. Natural gas, air transportation, 13 and 14% respectively. These are the main downward contributors. Once again, what is in the larger scheme of things helping the overall headline figure remain steady or cool further? What is weighing inflation down, which is in our case a good thing? Well, on the upper half of the chart, we see the main upward contributors to the rate of inflation. And to no one's surprise, we see costs associated with housing, primarily mortgage interest rate costs and rent, being the main upward contributors to the inflation rate. More specifically, mortgage interest rate costs are up 30%. Rent is up 8.2%. So it is by no means an exaggeration to say right now that one of the main things causing inflation to still be high is mortgage interest rate costs, which is obviously the consequence of what the Bank of Canada has done, rightly so I might add, which is increase the interest rate. You see, we have to separate what is the case and what ought to be the case. When I say that mortgage interest rate costs are the primary driver of inflation right now, I'm just saying that it is the case. I'm not saying that should not be the case. Similarly, when I say this is because obviously the Bank of Canada has increased interest rates, as we've covered for the last year and a half. I'm not saying that those decisions were mistakes. I'm just saying that that was the case, that is the case, not that it ought not to be the case. So with mortgage interest rate costs and other costs associated with housing so far being some of the main upward contributors to inflation, and with other costs coming down and acting as downward contributors to inflation, what can we take away from this? Well, as the core CPI and the headline figure continues to cool, the Bank of Canada is less and less likely, in my professional opinion, to hike interest rates in their next coming announcement. And to assess this further and what it can mean for an average Toronto home buyer out there, or the average Toronto homeowner who's interested in potentially selling, let's put a timeline to things. Let's take a look at when is the next time the Bank of Canada is set to announce their interest rate policy. Are they going to raise? Are they going to cut? Or are they going to keep it paused? Well, when is that timeline? And we can easily do that by taking a look at their announcement schedule as they publish on their page. We see there's one final interest rate announcement coming December 6th. There is one coming obviously in January, and there's another one coming in March. So let's focus on these three. Now, before I go into this further, obviously I should have to add, and I hope it's assumed that I do not have a crystal ball. I'm not in the business of predicting the future. I'm just in the business of helping people buy and sell and giving my professional opinion. So I can very much so be wrong about anything I might add here. It's just purely my professional opinion. And hey, if anyone is out there pretending to know what the Bank of Canada is going to do for a fact, they're probably wrong. Having said all that, and that is an important preface, with inflation cooling once again, as we see with the latest CPI report, I think it's less and less likely that the Bank of Canada is going to hike in December. Of course, this video is being recorded November 22nd. For all I know, by the time you're watching this, egg on my face, I'm very much so wrong. They did hike interest rates in December, but I just think it is less likely to occur. And if they don't hike in December, well, that's not gonna have a monumental impact on the Toronto and GTA real estate market. That's right, let's now transition to talking about the market. Because even though if they don't hike it and they continue with the pause, remember the last two times they've met, they've not touched the rates. They've continued with the conditional pause. Well, if they continue with the conditional pause in December, it's not gonna have a monumental impact, in my opinion, on the market, because December is historically one of the lowest months anyways, because it is a holiday month. Most people are not out there looking to buy and sell. So the impacts that could exist from an interest rate pause in any other month is kind of mollified due to the fact that it's in December. What buyers should be really worried and concerned about is if the Bank of Canada continues with the pausing of rates as CPIs come in lower and lower in January and in March, or even worse yet, if the Bank of Canada cuts interest rates in January or March. That, in my opinion, is when buyers are most screwed. Now, I personally do not believe an interest rate cut is even coming in January or March, even if it's the case that CPIs keep coming in and coming in cooler. It does honestly depend how much inflation is dampened, but within reason, I don't think the Bank of Canada is gonna cut rates anytime soon. But the fact that they might continue with the pause and keep rates where it is at in January and March, I can definitely foresee that having upward mobility and upward movement on the market. In other words put, if in January and March, Bank of Canada announces that they're not touching interest rates, trust me, the Toronto and GTA real estate market is going to be far less buyer friendly than it is now. As a result, I think for most Toronto and GTA real estate home buyers, if you are a serious home buyer and you don't obviously have unlimited funds, I think right now until early 2024 is the best time to be looking to buy. This is if you want to minimize the risks of running into a moderate to slightly seller-friendly market. Do I think the market is going to explode once again? And we're gonna reach the highs we saw in early 2022? No, I don't think so. I don't think we're gonna see those prices. I don't think we're gonna see that much of a hot seller-friendly market for a long time. However, I do firmly believe where things are headed right now, it is very safe to project that the Toronto and GTA real estate market is going to be far less buyer friendly in February, March, and April of 2024 than it is now. On the flip side of things, to sellers, I'm going to tell you guys to wait if you can afford to wait. Right now, homes are not selling well. Only the best of the best is selling well, and even that is under certain circumstances. For example, I sold a recent semi-detached in Markham, and guess what? There was nothing within a kilometer radius of us, and we managed to sell it, given all things equal in today's market, pretty well. But we still sold it for less than we would have if my client listed it early 2023. How do I know that? Because we literally sold the property next to this one in early 2023. I mean, that is the best comp imaginable to draw that conclusion. And that's once again an example of a Toronto home or GTA home selling well. There's tons of listings right now. There's tons of homes that are not selling well. And I'm not only seeing that on the market, I'm seeing that as an active Toronto real estate agent working with my buyers. We're right now buying things for far less than we could have bought them early 2023. And that's another reason I'm telling you it's a buyer-friendly market. On paper, in terms of the numbers, prices are coming down. I'm seeing it every day. And some buildings, I'm buying units for $70,000 to $90,000 less than units we're going for with the exact same floor plan early 2023, let alone the highs of 2022. So sellers, wait. If you can afford to wait, you should wait. Because as I have said, since I don't foresee late Q1 2024 to early Q2 2024 being a buyer-friendly market, well, obviously by implication, that means I foresee it being more of a seller-friendly market. So if you're a Toronto and GTA homeowner potentially looking to sell, I would advise you to wait until 2024, ideally maybe February 2024. But all these situations are fluid, of course, and this is at a large market level, GTA wide, right? All communities, all sub-communities, all neighborhoods, all streets, all buildings have their own market trends. And for a more precise assessment of your property type or your ideal property type as a buyer, we of course have to sit down and assess the sub-market more closely. Anyways, that is it for today's video. As always, thank you very much for watching. There's tons of more content coming out. And I know I keep saying I'm gonna post more actively. It just has been very, very busy times for me lately with the buyers I have actively working, creating content for other social media platforms, doing research for clients, recording these videos. And I've made the move to a new office. I'm trying to experiment with the lighting. I'm trying to experiment with the office backdrop. So let me know if you have any suggestions with regards to the office and the studio. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Contact information in my description box. Stay tuned for tons of more interesting content coming out. Thank you, stay safe, and stay tuned.